Behind me is every single book I own but have yet to read. And if you're new here, the past couple months I've been using this bingo card to help me get through my physical TBR. So that's what we're gonna do today. Brought you a little bit closer so that you can see what's going on here. I have this fun little wooden bingo cage. Every time I film these videos, I feel like I need to explain bingo, but I know I don't. Everyone pretty much knows how to play bingo. So we're just gonna go for it. Oh, 68. Oh, I actually have that one. I was surprised we got something on the first try. This is number in the title. Okay, let's pull out some options. I don't know how many books I have with numbers in the title. I'm sure we'll find something. Oh. 5-star weekend. The 5 love languages. Okay, so I really did not think this through when I put my books like this because you can't even see. Oh wait, yeah, you kind of can. I only have 2 options with numbers in the title. I have the 5-star weekend by Elin Hilderbrand, and then I have a non-fiction book, actually. It's the 5 love languages, which I'm definitely not in the mood for a non-fiction book at the moment. Non-fiction for me, I just read it a lot slower. I want something I can actually like sit down and enjoy, which would be the 5-star weekend. So I'm gonna attempt to get this book without knocking all of these books down. Okay, that was actually easier than I thought it would be. Let's put them back now. It feels a bit early for a summer read, but that's okay. It'll just get us in the summery spirit a little bit early. But from what I can remember of the synopsis, basically our main character is having kind of a rough time in life. Things are just not going great for her, so she plans what she calls a 5-star weekend in Nantucket, because if you didn't know, all of Elin Hilderbrand's books take place in Nantucket. Nantucket is the perfect summer vibe. I want to go there so bad, but from my understanding, things start to kind of go haywire also on her 5-star weekend. We'll see what this book entails. Very excited because I know Elin Hilderbrand is an author that I love. So let's get to reading. It's the next day. I'm having one of those days. No, really, I'm having one of those weeks where I'm like, I need to do this and I need to do this and I have this to do and this to do and this to do and blah, 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 blah. Like my brain is running on 1,000,000 miles a minute. But all of that just to say that I did in fact start the audiobook of this book, which thank goodness that it was available on Libby right now. I don't know what I would have done, honestly. Like I've just had so many things to do, all of which are like things that I call them mindless tasks, to where you can kind of listen to an audiobook or you can listen to a podcast or music or whatever. It's not something that I'm like focusing super hard on to where I can't have any distractions because I've been like running errands and doing a bunch of crazy things. But I am now on chapter 12, which is 26% of the way through this book. I am really enjoying it so far. It's not what I was expecting it to be, but also what's happened so far and like a couple of the things that we've gotten revealed. I'm like, oh, I feel like I should have known that this was coming. Just because I've read so many Elin Hilderbrand books, I feel like she has these kind of things happen in a couple of her books that I've read before, but I still like it. I will say there's a character in here that's kind of really driving me crazy. It's actually the daughter, which I think we're supposed to be siding with the mom, and I am siding with the mom, but then also at the same time, I kind of understand where the daughter's coming from, like where her frustration and anger and all of that is coming from. Totally understand her. Doesn't mean that I love her though, okay? I can understand her and still be annoyed with her, but I actually do think I'm going to sit and listen to the audiobook at least for a little bit longer today, because I don't know when I will really have time to like sit down and read. I was sitting down and reading a good bit yesterday, but things are crazy right now, okay? I've got a lot to do, so I'm probably going to listen at least for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll read some more later tonight. I don't know, the world is my oyster right now, but I basically just wanted to come on here and say I am enjoying the book right now. I figured I'd enjoy it just because I like Elin Hilderbrand. That's something I already knew. Also, there's something about this audiobook in particular, because I've listened to a couple of her other books and I haven't enjoyed them as much as like when I physically read them, but something about this audiobook, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I can just picture everything that's going on so perfectly. It's literally like I'm watching a movie in my brain. So I don't know what's going on here because I'm pretty sure it's the same narrator for all of Elin Hilderbrand's books. I feel like I just talked a lot but really fast, but also I just feel like my brain is going really, really fast today. I'm one of those problems where I can't make myself live in the moment. My brain is going so fast that I will be working on something and then in my brain I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to do this next, and then I need to do this, and then I need to do this, and then blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's the day I'm having. Maybe I should get outside and go on a walk or something, try to calm down, maybe stop drinking so much caffeine. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it would be nice if it did. The lighting right here, not the best, so let's just try to ignore that. Okay, I just ate breakfast. That's why I'm in the kitchen. But I actually got 59% of the way through this book yesterday. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think I mentioned yesterday one of the characters was kind of driving me crazy. There's one plot line in this book that I'm really enjoying. But also I was thinking last night, I wonder if I would be liking this book as much as I am if that one plot line wasn't in it. Because basically the way this book is set up is that you get a bunch of different point of views. So like each chapter is a different point of view. So you get the point of view from all of her friends that are at this 5-star weekend. You get the point of view of our main character and then also her daughter. So there's a lot going on, but I like that. And I also just feel like the way Elin Hilderbrand writes, it's easy to follow along. Like sometimes when authors do so many different point of views, it's harder to follow along. But in her books, I don't often find myself confused between like what character is what, which is so slay. Yesterday I was working on something else and I literally found myself thinking about this book, which that never happens unless I think the book is like really, really good. So that's a good sign, because in the beginning of the book I was a little bit nervous, honestly, because I just wasn't loving it. But obviously we're on the up and up. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I have been mostly listening to it just because, like I said yesterday, I have so many different things to do. Even today I'm going to be driving around a lot, so I will probably keep listening to it. All of that to basically say I'm still really enjoying it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I have a confession to make. It's the next day and I finished the 5-star weekend yesterday. I feel like I barely updated while I was reading this book, and it's honestly just because I didn't want to put it down, even just for 2 minutes to give a short update. Sorry, you can probably hear that my cats are playing right now. It did not give me that 5-star feeling, but I did really enjoy it. I think I'm gonna give this a 4-star, but I will let you know at the end of the video if my thoughts or feelings have changed towards this book at all. But I thoroughly enjoyed it and highly recommend it for the summertime. I feel like Elin Hilderbrand knows how to write a good beachy summer romance book, because she manages to set the beach scene so perfectly, but then she also provides a hard-hitting story. Like her books are more than just the beachy vibe. Like, you know how sometimes you pick up a book and you're like, okay, well that was just a vibe, it wasn't really like anything crazy. And I'm not saying that this is anything crazy, but I'm saying her books give way more than just the summer vibe, and I think that's why she has become such a popular author. Well, I think she's always been pretty popular, I don't know, but her books have become more popular with like the younger demographic because they're just truly good beachy reads. And even while I was reading this book, all I could think about was how badly I wished I was on the beach reading and just eating up all of the summer vibes. Now, I do have one complaint. There's a character in this book, her name is Gigi, and you learn a lot about her character in this book. I mean, you learn a lot about all the characters, honestly, because I mentioned earlier, you get glimpses into all of their lives, you get chapters on all of their lives, and I did really enjoy that. But specifically with Gigi, there's some actions that she did in the past, and I feel like they were not brushed over because they were talked about a lot, but I just feel like it was kind of written to the point where we were supposed to sympathize with her, and I just didn't sympathize with her. I kind of felt like she needed a little bit more, what is it, like more retribution for her actions. I don't know if that's the right word, honestly. I just kind of made that up. I have no idea. I just feel bad because I feel like we were supposed to sympathize with her, and I didn't sympathize with her at all. I just couldn't forgive her actions. And if you've read this book, you obviously know what I'm talking about, but I wish she wasn't painted in such a good light, because she did make some pretty terrible decisions. So that was one of the main things that kind of bothered me that I feel like I didn't talk about earlier. But overall, I really like this book and I highly recommend it for the summertime. Okay, now back to our bingo card in our little bingo game to pick my next book. Okay, we have N42. We don't have that. Then we have O64. I do have that. That is a romance book. Okay, this is exciting. Also exciting because we just got 2 in a row, because number in the title and a romance book is both in a line. They're both from the O column. So let me pull out some romance books that I'm in the mood for, and then we can go from there. Okay, I need to stop pulling books off before I end up with a giant stack, because I already have a good amount of books right here that are all romance books. So I have Daisy Kane's The Great Undoing. This is the third book. No. This is the 4th book in the series. I have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, which is the 2nd book in an interconnected series. I have Starlight Nights, which is a romance between like 2 actors, which I feel like might be fun. I have Things I Wanted to Say, which is the 1st book in the Lancaster Prep series, which I'm debating on if I want this to be a reading vlog of just the Lancaster Prep series, so I might just put this to the side. I also don't want to start any more series. Okay, I think we're gonna just put that one away. Because y'all know I love to do reading vlogs of series, so I might save that for that. And then we have Before We Were Strangers and Love and Luck. I'm pretty sure these are all romances. I might have to double check. Where is my phone? Daisy Haites, The Great Undoing genre. I love that I just looked that up even though I already knew it was a romance book. I just like needed to double check. Just like when you're in math class in school and you're like doing 2 + 2 on the calculator and you're like, just in case it's changed, I need to make sure. That's how I felt looking up the genre of this book. But I am choosing this book for the next read, mostly just because I read Magnolia Parks A Long Way Home. I think like, I don't even know how long ago. It's been less than 6 months though, which I think is good. I think I need to keep reading these books a little bit closer together than I was before. So hopefully I like this one. I will say, at least so far in the series, I have been a Magnolia Parks girl through and through. So we'll see how I feel about this one. If you don't know anything about this series, I don't know what this book is about, but it's almost like 2 series in one, if you ask me, because I think it's 5 books. Yeah, it's 5 books right now, but it's going to be 6 books because the last book hasn't come out yet. But basically you have 3 books in Magnolia's point of view, and then you have 3 books in Daisy's point of view, and they change. So you start with Magnolia's, and then you go to Daisy, and then you go to Magnolia, and then it's Daisy again because this is the 4th book. And basically these books follow rich socialites in London, but then also specifically in Daisy's books, you have a lot of like the mob scene, and they're doing a little bit of like illegal activities. So you have that whole thing going on. I think you learn about it more in Daisy's books, but I could be wrong. You might get it a lot in Magnolia Parks as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, honestly, because these books kind of combine in my head, because at least the setup that I've seen so far, the first 2 books kind of take place at the same time, and then I'm assuming this book is going to take place at the same time as the other Magnolia book. I assume we're not going to pick up right where we left off in Magnolia Parks A Long Way Home, which sucks because the way that that book ended was actually wild, but I need to read this first, obviously, before I can read the next one. I'm now on page 104 in this book, and I forgot that you get not only Daisy and Christian's point of view in this book, you also get Julian's point of view, which is Daisy's brother. And I have fallen in love with Julian's character, mostly because of the last book and everything that goes down in that book. And so I'm so excited to get that point of view from Julian because of how much I loved the last book. So I have higher hopes for this book than I did for the first Daisy book I read. I rated that one a 3 stars. So I'm hoping this one will get a little bit more of a higher rating from me. But that's basically all I have to say right now. Loving that we get his point of view, and I'm just eating that up. I also can't remember if we talked about this already, but this is a toxic romance, so I would not go into the series expecting some cute little fun rom-com. I think I've worn this sweatshirt almost every single day for a week. It's just so comfy right now. Like the spring weather here, it's really cold in the morning, and then by the afternoon it's super warm. So this is like my go-to morning sweatshirt. Anyways, got sidetracked for a second, but I came on here to say that I'm now on page 177 in this book. I'm actually obsessed with this book at this point. I think last time I updated, first off, my camera died, so I don't really think I even finished my thought. But second, I don't think I was actually loving this book that much. I think my feelings were just a little bit all over the place, but now that I'm this far into the book, I'm like eating it up. I'm enjoying it so much. But I do remember all of the things that I wanted to talk about in the last update, and I just didn't get around to it because my camera died, and I meant to change the battery, but I didn't, obviously, so anyways, first off, there's a dog in this book, and normally I'm kind of indifferent to dogs in books, but in this book, the dog is supposed to be a guard dog, but is so sweet to like all the girls in this book. I just love it. But at the beginning of the book, well, I guess sometimes still, Daisy keeps referencing Titanic. She kind of compares her life and her relationships to the Titanic, and like the Titanic hitting the iceberg and all of that. And I love that metaphor. I think that's just mostly because I love the Titanic. The Titanic is a part of history that I've always been very, very fascinated with, to the point where like I will read historical fiction about the Titanic, I'll watch documentaries about the Titanic. I just love all of that about the Titanic. So it feels like that reference was in this book for me, you know? Miss Jessa Hastings was like, Morgan Owens is gonna read this book and she's gonna love this Titanic reference. Okay, so I feel like that was put in there for me. Second thing that I meant to mention way earlier when I first picked up this book, there's footnotes in this book, and I forgot Oh, I forgot that there's footnotes. So when I picked up this book, I was like, no, I forgot about the footnotes. So dramatic, I know. But the footnotes are so annoying to me. I don't know what it is about the footnotes, and they're only in Daisy's point of view, which thank goodness. If they were in this whole book, I don't know if I could do it. Honestly, truly, I am not sure if I could do it. But they're only in Daisy's point of view. And I just feel like anytime I go to read the footnote, I'm like, this could have been included in the actual sentence. Like, it didn't need to be a footnote. And also, I just feel like reading the footnote immediately takes me out of the story. I don't know what it is, but there was another book that I read a couple years ago. I don't even remember the name of the book, but it was like something about like nurses, like our main character was a nurse. I don't remember, but I just remember not liking that book mostly because of the footnotes. Like, there's just something about a footnote that immediately takes me out of the story. And specifically with Jessa's writing, it actually feels like I'm reading a movie. Does that make sense? I don't know. But it feels like I'm reading a movie. Like, when I'm reading it, there's a movie playing in my head. And when I'm reading the footnote, it feels like I'm pausing the movie. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe that'll make sense if you also don't like footnotes, but that drives me crazy. So I'm very glad that they're only in Daisy's point of view, because if they were in this whole book, I don't think I could handle it, truly. And that sounds so dramatic, but I just don't like footnotes in books. Let me try to find an example. Okay, like this footnote, it says this guy's name, Alfie, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it. And then the footnote says, very handsome, dark skin, kind eyes, short hair. That easily could have been in the actual paragraph. Tell me I'm wrong. I know I just complained about something, but I'm actually eating this book up. I don't want to put it down. I've been reading all morning, probably for like an hour, hour and a half, maybe. Probably an hour. I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know, whatever. It does not matter, but I've been reading this book for a while this morning, not wanting to put it down. I keep being like, I should get up and like do something else. No, all I want to do is read this book. It's much later in the day. I'm now on page 264 and I've gotten a little over halfway through this book. Obviously still very much enjoying it. I feel like I don't even need to say that about any of these books in the series, because you should just assume that I'm enjoying them. I do keep getting a little bit of that 5-star feeling, so we might have another 5-star brewing. I say another because the book right before this one, I also rated a 5-star, and I think that's part of why I'm enjoying this one so much, because it takes place at the same time as that one. And I think part of the reason that I didn't like the other Daisy Haites book is because I wasn't obsessed with that Magnolia Parks book. I'm sorry, if you haven't read these books before, this is probably so confusing, but basically this book takes place at the same time as this book, but you get different point of views. And I actually think knowing that helps, because when I read the other Daisy Haites books, I was like, this is so annoying. Like, I already know how this is all gonna end, and I just didn't like that. But in this book, even though I know how it's going to end, I'm still so intrigued, and it's still very much enjoying it because of the way that it's written. It does feel like it's written very kind of lyrical, I guess, and it doesn't feel like a book that you can binge. So if you're someone that likes to just like sit and binge a book, I don't think that this might be for you. At least for me, I feel like I have to actually sit and read it super slowly because of the way that it's written and like the lyricalness of the writing, but I like that. I just find it super interesting that I'm enjoying this one so much, because like I said, I already know what's going to happen. But also in a romance book, I feel like a lot of the time you do already know what's going to happen, but like this one, I know for sure what's going to happen because I already saw it from Magnolia's point of view. But I will say I've already forgotten a good bit. Like, specifically in the beginning of this book, I was like, what is going on? I'm kind of confused here. But obviously, like, I started remembering things as they got discussed. I just find it interesting. Sorry, the mower is so loud right now, but basically I'm just trying to say I just find it interesting that I'm enjoying this one so much when I didn't like the other Daisy Haites as much. I'm gonna go back to reading. I was hoping to finish this today. I don't know how realistic that really is, but we'll see. this might be a 5-star read. I enjoyed it so much. I could not drag my eyes away from it, specifically the ending. And I don't want to keep going on and on about things I've already talked about, but Julian's point of view in this book was my favorite part of this entire book. I'm obsessed with Julian. At this point, he might be my favorite character in this entire series. I love him so much. He's a gang lord, but also at the same time is like a soft teddy bear, and I'm just obsessed with him. And I say that this might be a 5-star because honestly, when I put it down, I was like, I feel like everyone needs to read this book. And obviously this whole series in general, because there's no way you can read the 4th book just randomly. It was so good. But like I said, if you don't like toxic romance, you're not gonna like this. But I do think it's really helpful to know before going into this series that the whole series is toxic romance. But oh my goodness, the way this book ended, I just cannot wait to keep going with the series. I can't wait for the last book to come out as well. Obviously I have one more left before the last one comes out, but I am so excited to keep going with these. But we are back with our little bingo situation to pick my next book. I-27, I don't have that. N-36, I have that. Oh no! I kind of don't want this one. Not to be dramatic, but like I really don't want this one, but I'll do it anyway. This is a summery book. It just doesn't fit the vibe right now. Like it's spring. Maybe I can find a book that's like a little bit summery, but also like a little bit springy. Like one that's not too outwardly summery. Let's look and see what books I have that might work with this. This is actually my only option. This is Big Summer. I don't remember what this book is about at all. I did thrift it, and I think I thrifted it a while ago, which is probably why I don't really remember what it's about at all, but that's kind of exciting. We'll just go into this book fully blind. So we have 2 summer books in one video before it's even summertime, but that's okay. My hair is a bit of a mess because I keep getting overstimulated by it and then I just like throw it up. But anyways, I have already gotten to chapter 5 in this book, which is page 71. I feel like I did that so fast, which I can now kind of give just a quick little synopsis. Whenever I do this, I always read the back of the book before I say anything about the book because I don't want to spoil anything. And I'm always shocked by how much information is on the back of a book. Like I didn't even finish reading the back of the book because I was like, I haven't gotten to this stuff yet. Why is it saying this? Like 70 pages in, I feel like is a good marker to where they shouldn't be saying what happens after that point, you know what I mean? Anyways, basically you have our main character whose name is Daphne. It's mostly a story about Daphne. It's very character focused so far, but it's also about her relationship with her body and food, so definitely check trigger warning. And it's also very much about her relationship with her ex-best friend Drew, who was, I think they were friends in high school and college, but they had this big falling out, which you get the whole story behind that. And honestly, at first I was not enjoying this book because the whole first prologue just did not make any sense to me. It takes place in 1994 is the prologue, and then 2018 is when chapter 1 starts, and you don't get any names in the prologue. So at this point, it's kind of like, what the heck is going on? Who are these people? You know what I mean? Because the prologue doesn't relate at all to what is going on in the book, at least so far. I'm sure eventually we'll circle back to that. If not, that's really weird. But that really threw me for a loop. Like it's not related at all. But once I got over that, I did start liking the book a lot more. But honestly, I can't even lie, I think one of the main things that I like about this book is just the way that it's written. There's something about the way that she has written this book where I can see it as a movie in my head, and I love when a book is written that way because I don't always get that. But with this one, it's written that way, and I actually found myself not wanting to put this book down. Like I was reading it downstairs just now, and I was like, oh, I need to put this book down. Like I need to start a little laundry, but I don't want to put the book down. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a good sign. We did start on a little bit of a rocky path, but we're going in the right direction, which is up, on the up and up. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. Hopefully I will still like this book. It's not super summery so far, but I think we're gonna get to that point because of what's been set up for us and what I think is gonna happen based on the back of the book. I don't know how this happened, but I'm over halfway through this book already. Actually, I do kind of know how it happened. I was listening to the audiobook this morning, like while I was doing my laundry, picking up my room, just doing chores around the house and listening to the audiobook. But I think I figured out why I like this book so much. Our main character, sometimes I get annoyed with her. I can't even lie. Sometimes she drives me a little bit crazy, but I think that she is just so real that it makes this book feel real. You get a lot of information into like her insecurities, and she just feels like such a real person because of that, and because she's flawed, and because because she has these insecurities that you go into in the book. It makes her feel so real, and I just appreciate that, because also I just feel like this brings light to different subjects. But also I feel like because it does that, I don't think that this book is for everyone. Like I said, I feel like this could be a little bit triggering for some people to read, people that are still kind of healing from things that this book discusses. So I would look into that before I go into this book if you're thinking about picking it up. Honestly, so far it's not giving a super summery vibe. They are at Cape Cod right now, so maybe it'll get more of a summery vibe. But I will say there was this eerie undertone for the beginning of the book, and I was like, what is going on here? And then it happened, and I was like, okay, crazy. Literally my jaw dropped. But also at the same time, while that was revealed, there was something else revealed right after, and I was like, guessed that. Knew that was coming. I could tell as soon as this whole thing started that that's where we were going with this. But I feel like the shock and then also predicting something, since it happened kind of like hand in hand, I'll let it slide. You know, she's 1 for 1 right now. But still very much enjoying this. Do I wish I was on the beach reading this? Yes. But also at the same time, I don't feel like it has as much of like a summery vibe as maybe an Elin Hilderbrand book would, because you already know I love Elin Hilderbrand, and I think she's the queen of a summer romance. She just captures the vibe perfectly, and I feel like this is missing a little bit of that summer vibe, at least so far. But I will say, like, the whole first beginning of the book took place at New York City, which doesn't give me a summer vibe. New York City gives me a fall vibe for some reason. Maybe that's just me. But now that we're on Cape Cod, it's a little bit more of a summery vibe. But I don't know how long we're gonna stay at the beach. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. Definitely going to finish this book today now that I have the audiobook. I literally was so excited when Libby was like, your hold is available. Because I had this on hold on Libby, and I was so excited. Because I was like, this is exactly what I need to get me to do my chores this morning. I need to listen to this book, or I'm not gonna do my chores. I'm just gonna sit and read. You know what I mean? So I am gonna switch back to the book now. I've been switching back and forth between the audio and the book because, you know, when I do my chores, I'm like, it's like a little reward that I can go back to reading and then keep going with the chores. Okay, besties, we did it. We got 3 more books off of my insanely large physical TBR. I finished Big Summer a couple of hours ago, and I honestly just needed a second to think about what I wanted to rate this book, because I was raving about this book for the whole first half. I loved the first half of this book. And as you saw during my last like talking update, I said that something happened that really surprised me. Well, that thing that happened brought the story in such a different direction that not only was I not expecting, I just didn't love, because it also reminded me a lot of a different Elin Hilderbrand book. And I don't want to tell you which Elin Hilderbrand book, because I feel like if you've read that book, it would probably spoil this book. But it just reminded me too much of it, to the point where I was like, okay, this feels a little bit too copy and paste, even though it really wasn't, honestly. But it was similar enough for me to be like, I don't really love this. I just look for things that are a little bit different in books, specifically when it comes to, like, I guess you could call it a romance mystery kind of situation. I don't really know, honestly, but I do think I'm gonna settle on a 3.5 star. I think if this book, if the beginning matched the ending of the book, like if we kept that same pace, we kept that same, you know, writing style, and if all of that stayed the same, I feel like this would have been a 5 star for me. But I feel like the beginning and the end of this book were 2 very different things. They felt like 2 different books mashed together for me, and I don't like when books do that. I really don't. I've realized after I read this book, I was like, okay, now I know that that's something I do not like in books, and this book did that. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but I feel like if you've read books where that happens, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I don't love that. But I also read 2 other books in this video. My Queen, Elin Hilderbrand, another summer romance you read. Really enjoyed this one. I think I settled on a 4 star for this one. Anything Elin Hilderbrand and just the scenery of Nantucket is perfect and amazing for summer. Highly recommend this for summertime. And then you already know I got a 5 star read from this video. Daisy Haynes' The Great Undoing. The Magnolia Park series will just forever always hold a special place in my heart. I love these characters. They feel like real people to me. So loved this book. But I still think the second Magnolia Parks book is my favorite from the series so far. But this one, oh my gosh, was so good. Like, very close second. Obsessed with Julian. He might be my favorite character of all time. I love him so much. But that is it for this video. I unfortunately can't count all the books, because even though this looks like an insane amount of books, yeah, this isn't even all of them. So I can't even tell you how many books are on my physical TBR at the moment. But that just means you'll have to come back for the next episode so that you can see how many books I have left on my physical TBR. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!